What's up, everyone? Shamika Sanders, host of Listen to Black Women here. We brought in a group of black men to discuss and respond to the advice, commentary, and wisdom offered from one of our episodes of Listen to Black Women.
I don't like to use the word hurt because I feel that puts too much weight on it. Personally, I am not that sad or affected when I see a black man with a woman of another race, unless he's very fine. And she is not what I really think is, a good match. But I do question a lot of their choices because when pressed or asked about it, a lot of them have really lame excuses. Like Michael did the whole thing about milk flavors, and I was just like...
So weird.
Right, like just say you like what you like and this is not it or this is it.
My problem with it is that I feel like Michael B. Jordan's fan base has been built on the backs of black women. And now he's afraid that he's going to lose his audience. So now he's clamoring and he's all these milk analogies and it's really strange. But we see this so often in Hollywood.
Yeah, and we're seeing right through it because all of those types of explanations, they just read as superficial and inauthentic. So it's like, just own it, brother.
Africa Miranda's point about, she's not going to live her life kind of identifying a black man is dating a white woman. Oh my God, travesty, right? Agreed. But I think that a lot of the black women that I know, a lot of my black female friends who are single, are faced with an issue of what's out there, what's in their purview as being true prime opportunities with black men. And so in the instance that you see a black man that you could have dating a white woman, it's kind of like, oh, that brother would have been good for me, and he went with a white girl? Oh, and so it really does feel like sabotage. It kind of feels like you just straight up just took an opportunity away from me, and I think that is an issue that we need to address.
I think the point about Michael B. Jordan was really interesting too, about him building his reputation and his fame on the backs of black women, and I think it is a very precarious predicament for him to be in, only because it's like, now he feels obliged to have to make an excuse. He can't just say, I enjoy dating white women. I think the interesting thing about preference is that it doesn't really affect anyone except for the individual. I understand historically that a lot of, what is seen as the black plight is the loss of the black family. But when does that become every individual's responsibility to say, okay, I have to put what I may innately prefer aside to fulfill this larger purpose? And so I think it's something to be said about, just the pressures of what is expected of the black man and what he's supposed to do and how he's treated if he was to come out and say, yeah, I prefer to date white women. There's a lot of backlash for that.
And so I want us to finish a thought, if we may. So when black men listen to black women on the topic of interracial dating,
I feel that their specific perspective and the life events that they have lived through grant them the right to their opinion. I think it's very different from what I've lived through and what I've seen and my whole perception of the situation, but it's equally valued, and I think there's some merit to it.
When black men listen to black women on the topic of interracial dating, blank.
They often get defensive and feel guilty. To be totally honest with you, I think when a black woman presents and says, when black men date white women, I don't get it. I don't understand. You're not valuing yourself and who you come from. And if you've dated a white woman, you sit down there and say, dang, is that true? No. You start to think and calculate and and see if that's the case. And then you come up with a response. It's unfortunate that is the case. But the fact of the matter is that when we hear our sisters give their opinions on it, sometimes we can become enlightened, but oftentimes we become defensive.
What can we do, both men and women, to start to address this, right? What can women do to feel less bothered by these trends? And what can men do, black men, to try to listen to black women a little bit more and hold space for them?
I think the key to any problem, the first step is dialogue. There needs to be that conversation. There can't be these feelings of disdain and anger and hurt, and you just keep it bottled inside. I don't think that's the solution in any situation. I think it's best that we have these conversations with each other. We put our prides aside. We try to remove the emotionality from it, and we hear what people are thinking. And furthermore, I think if you speak to a black man as a black woman and you say, why do you date white women? And he says, this is all I want to date, then you probably saved yourself and dodged a bullet. You wouldn't want someone who could be so ignorant to think that you could just make a determination on who you love on race. So spare yourself.
Yeah, sure. Agreed. I think that black women, when you do get that kind of response from a black man, I only date white women or women that are not black, I think you definitely have saved yourself. I think you exit the conversation, especially if you're not interested in that man. But even if you are, you kind of just move on and don't take on the idea that that man's word is the word for all black men. That's it. And particularly if a black man is dating a white woman, please don't misappropriate that for only wanting white women, right? I think there are tons of black men that want to date black women, and that's just a fact. The last piece I would say is date men outside of your race too. I mean, I'm not saying to do it as a tit for tat, but I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not saying only date outside your race, but I think you have an opportunity to go out there and explore and see what you like and see that there's not really that much of a difference oftentimes when you're in the dating world. Maybe culturally there might be a little bit, but you might learn something by dating somebody else.
Totally, cast a wide net. But my advice goes to men. I'd say men need to take more ownership for their reasons, right? And like you said, if that's your preference, that's fine. But I wouldn't deflect it by saying that the black woman is less than, right? And then we have the laundry list of things that we can point to. So I would say for men, we need to take more ownership of our preference if that's the case. We hope you enjoyed, and make sure to stay tuned for the next episode of Listen to Black Women on Madame Noire and Hello Beautiful.